Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah question and answer session on Thursday evening. I'm here every Thursday at the exact same time, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that would be 10 p.m. Eastern. Pacific Time would be 7 p.m. We welcome everybody. You're welcome to bring any kind of questions you might have about living in Utah, whether it's the state of Utah, real estate investing, you name the topic, and I will try to answer it. Just post your comments in the chat box, and we will definitely take a look at some of them. Also want to talk about a couple things that are going on in the state of Utah and some things about new construction. I just did a video on new construction, so it's a very hot topic throughout the whole country, and especially in Utah. So we'll give you some pointers if you are considering new construction to help you out with new construction. In the state of Utah here today, it was a beautiful day, probably about 80 degrees, just great weather. Fantastic weather. We're supposed to get a little bit of wind coming from the south tomorrow, but looking outside this evening, it is very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So that's about what's going on a little bit in the state of Utah. Is the weather's very nice. State of Utah is holding up very well. Everything is going fine. I've got a couple pieces of news that is in the local newspapers in Utah. As far as sports go in the state of Utah, everybody's real excited for the Utah Jazz. We have the number 1 seed for the West. So it's the highest seed that I ever remember. I mean, we've been in the playoffs before. I don't think we've ever been a number 1 seed. So a lot of excitement on the upcoming NBA playoffs and finals. So lots of excitement in Utah. So there was a bill. The state of Utah held a special legislation session. I'm having a hard time talking tonight. They held a special session, and one of the key topics was they want to ban face masks in schools. So it's been very controversial throughout the state, and I think we are the first state that I'm aware of that has passed legislation that there will be no masks in schools. It's receiving mixed reviews. I see both sides of the case. A lot of parents are saying they're going to pull their kids out of school due to safety concerns. Other people, I mean, students are over the moon. I've talked to quite a few parents and kids that are in school, and they are so happy, so happy. Some parents aren't as happy. So I guess I'm down the middle. I understand it for the students. They feel if they got the virus, and there's a very low chance of really having a lot of effects from the virus being at a younger age. But on the other side, I worry that there's so many grandparents that pick up their kids up from school or do things on the weekend, et cetera. It is might be hard on them, because if they brought the virus to them, it's would not be a good situation. So a little bit of a mixed emotion I have on that there. But anyways, it's very interesting, because I also saw we have a new governor since January, and I like the guy. I didn't have high hopes for him going in, because he was the lieutenant governor, and I thought, we had the same old that we've had over the last few years, because I didn't like the way the governor handled the virus 100%. I thought some of the things that he did were not correct. But this new guy, I really like him. He took when he took over, he took that coronavirus and did everything he could to get more vaccines in the state of Utah, mobile vaccine stations. I mean, got a lot of stuff ramping up. He was just on the news telling people not to watch the cable news network stations like Fox News and CNN. And I was totally blown away when he made a statement like that. So interesting. Interesting. All right. Good evening, Mike. After 7 long months, we have finally closed on our new construction home and get the keys tomorrow. Yep, that's about what it's taken on a home. 7 months. It's, it used to be maybe 5 or 6 months. Now we're stretching it out probably about 7 months, I would say. 7 months. Yeah. Yep, definitely. So the question, do you know if Xfinity or CenturyLink is preferred in Davis County area? So I have been a customer of both. We had CenturyLink for years and years. I'm now an Xfinity customer, Xfinity, Comcast, and I'm totally pleased. I would not go back. I would not go back at all. Our internet speed is faster. With CenturyLink, they would always send stuff in the mail. My wife would say, oh, they got a faster speed, and we would pay more money. We would pay more money. And I never thought it really was improved. But with Xfinity, yes. I like Xfinity. So and we have their TV package and home phone and thingy. So I'm a big Xfinity Comcast person now. So that is my recommendation, I guess. So we did CenturyLink for many, many years. So hello. We just moved to Caton. I think we mean Layton. If it's Caton, I do not know where Caton is at, but I know where Layton, Utah is. So Layton, Utah is right next to the military base. You must be an Atlanta Falcon fan. If you are originally from Atlanta, this is a distance for you. Clinton here. Yes, Clinton's a great city. I once lived in Clinton, so can't say anything bad about Clinton. Their recreational programs that Clinton does for the youth is amazing. Top notch. So we just moved to Layton, looking for some good public elementary school recommendations. Great question. I would have to get back with you. I'd have to ask around a little bit. I'm not as familiar with the elementary schools in the Layton area to give a to give an opinion right at this moment. But you can go to greatschools.org. That's a great website I've used a few times, and they rank things very well. Also, would you recommend public charter schools over normal public schools? Well, I believe, in my opinion, the public schools here in the state of Utah are fantastic. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really would. I don't hear a lot of complaints about some of the public schools. And there's a few areas that I do hear complaints about, but in general, and also in general, it's like any industry though. When it comes to like teachers, you'll find good teachers and you'll find bad teachers. You'll find good accountants. You'll find bad accountants. You'll find good engineers and poor engineers. So every career field has its good and bad. But as far as schools in general in the state of Utah, and this is going to be just a general statement through the state of Utah, since we're a family-oriented state, parents take a huge role in the school system, very big role in the school system. So, they'll voice their concerns. they will definitely voice their concerns. And I think that is great. It allows schools to improve. So, and I believe they're always improving. So, by the way, we moved from Maine, but yes, I am a Falcons fan. Wow, you came a long distance from Maine. Well, I will say, if this is your first time to state of Utah, you will consider our winters very mild compared to the state of Maine. You'll walk out your door and go, "Is that it for snow? Is that it?" So, yeah, we're in the state of Maine. You're used to measuring it by the feet. We measure it by the inches along the valley floor. Now, if you were to move up to the higher elevation, like Deer Valley, Park City, or Eden, Huntsville, Liberty, those areas that are mountain towns, yes, it's a different ball game up there. But the winters here will be mild compared to the state of Maine. So yeah. Good. Thank you. Hope you enjoy your time in Utah. What brought you to the state of Utah? Was it work, or have you always had a desire to live in the state of Utah? Maybe since you're living in Layton, Utah, you're with the military, or you're with the federal government, or maybe you're with a contractor, or maybe you're retired and you just chose Utah as a retirement home. Possibility. Also in the news here in the state of Utah, we have a water problem. We really do. We did not get the snowpack that was expected through the winter months. We had a dry winter. And one of our reservoirs, Pineview Reservoir in the north, the water level is 18 feet below normal. That wasn't inches, that's feet. 18 feet below normal. Yes, severe amount of water shortage in the state of Utah. And that's for the whole state of Utah. It doesn't matter what county you go to. The storms this year seem to miss the state of Utah for some reason. Southern Utah actually got a few more storms this year, but I don't think it put a dent in the drought situation that they have down there in Southern Utah. So not at all. So there was a survey done in the state of Utah about the vaccines on people who have not obtained a vaccine at the current time. The state wanted to get an idea on the reason behind some people deciding not to be vaccinated for the virus. So I thought the results were kind of interesting, so I would share a little bit of the results with you. So the top result is they felt that it was not necessary. They felt that the vaccine was not necessary. So that was 45% of the people polled felt that there was no need to get a vaccine. Second on the list was they were waiting for more research. They wanted to find out more about the side effects, et cetera, or is the drug or the vaccines effective? So that came in second. Third on the list was the side effects of the drugs. And I had the shot, and the second dose for me, I did have some side effects. It knocked me out on the second day. I was feeling really weak, more like I had like the flu, or I just felt really, really weak. So a lot of people did not want the side effects from the vaccine, and that's happened to a few people. And fourth on the list was people who had already recovered from COVID-19, so they felt they did not need the virus. So, and that one you're not too sure about, because if you've had the virus and you have the antibodies, you've built up some antibodies, I don't know what your odds are of getting the coronavirus again. So do not know. All right, Mr. Webb. We watched all your videos before moving. Yes, your shopping and restaurant recommendations were great. Thank you. My job brought me here. I don't miss the cold for sure. Enjoying the great outdoors. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed my videos. And that's quite an honor to watch all my videos. So the restaurant recommendations. So I've done I did one around Hill Air Force Base. The places around Hill Air Force Base. Of course, some of them you might have to call now, see if they're still open with the restaurants. Some have closed in Utah here. So I don't think as many as other states, but we've been hit. I just went by in Layton there. We had McCool's was an Irish restaurant. I believe that's now closed. I was just by that area a week or two ago and looked like they were closed. A place that I really liked, and I believe I put it on the video, is Taste of Britain. They do English food there. They actually shut down. They were closed for a couple months and managed to reopen. And I believe they got some help from the government, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that their landlord also wanted to see them back in there. So they have reopened. So that was great to see. Great to see. Unfortunately, for some restaurants, the restaurant revitalization bill that came out by the SBA was just launched over the last couple weeks to help struggling restaurants. Well, I mean, a lot of restaurants needed the help like 6 months ago, 8 months ago. So, great. Well, I hope you, so your job brought you here. Great. I hope you enjoy your time in the state of Utah, and hope you love the state of Utah as much as I love the state of Utah. So I think it's a great place. I love the state of Utah, and it's one of the reasons I do these live question answer sessions and videos and extra. I love where I live. I really can't think of any place that I would rather call home. I mean, there's some great places in the United States. Don't get me wrong. I visited some great places. But overall, when I look at affordability and, we vacation down in Southern California a lot, but quite honestly, I don't know how I could ever afford to live there. But, I love the San Diego area. Beautiful. I love parts of LA County. So it's, but when it comes to actually being able to afford to live in some of these places, it makes it a little, some of the affordability. And there are some areas that I'm not a fan of humidity at all. So, and I just had this conversation with one of my relatives on Facebook. They live in Cleveland, Ohio, and he actually said he can't wait for the winter months because of the humidity. The humidity's starting to kick in there now for the summer, and he's dreading it. He works for the airlines, and I'm loving it. I'm like, I love this time of year here in Utah. We have low humidity. I can go outside. I can do all the recreational activities I want to do and have a great time with it. As you've seen this week, you're in Layton, Utah, Mr. Webb, and you could probably also vouch to the low humidity that we have right here in the state. So, and Noel says Utah is so beautiful. It is very, very beautiful. And back to Mr. Webb there, people are astonished when I tell them you literally live next to the mountain. A lot of people think, well, I've got to buy $1 million home to get a mountain view, or, because you're used to the coastal towns where when you're in California, if you're not one of the beach towns, the Malibus and Santa Monica, you've got to be real close. But here, just about any apartment that you rent or house that you rent, you usually will have a view of the mountains one way or the other. So, yeah, you do not have to spend millions of dollars to get views of the mountains. So, yeah, it is breathtaking. So, Mr. Z, thinking about traveling to Zion Park or Portland, Oregon for Memorial Weekend. Zion Park, great. I would imagine it's going to be crowded. There are a lot of people around the country that are doing road trips this year for vacations, and I would imagine Zion Park is going to be crowded. Now, Portland, Oregon is kind of interesting. You mentioned that. What is the latest with Portland, Oregon? Are they still having a problem in that city? I mean, they had some terrible rioting, and the city was just getting torn apart. So I don't know if that is under control these days. But it was ugly in Portland, Oregon there for a while. So, Mr. Z, I saw a couple A-10 airplanes coming into and out of Hill Air Force Base. That's correct. As far as I recall, they still do the maintenance, the depot maintenance repair on A-10s here at Hill Air Force Base, unless that's been taken away. But they were doing work on all the A-10s. So, and it was a very, very big contract for the companies that do that. One of the many jobs, one of the many aircraft that they work on. And I don't know if the A-10 is an airplane that they export, but here at Hill Air Force Base, they take the F-16s, they refurbish them, and they actually sell them to foreign countries. So I'm not 100% certain if they do that with the A-10s. I don't know if there's a demand for the A-10s, or if they allow it. There's a lot that goes on some of that. But they do with the F-16. So, okay. Utah over Portland, 10 to 10 times. Okay. I have never been to Portland, Oregon. Pretty much what I know about Portland, Oregon is what I saw on the news over the last 6 to 8 months with a lot of the problems. So that was sad how that town was getting torn apart. So, and the businesses. Hi, we just moved to Layton, Utah this month. Wow. So, Mr. Webb, the Atlanta Falcon fan, a little bit earlier in the feed there, he just moved to Layton, Utah, also from Maine. We love fresh seafood. Any recommendations to buy around here? Wow, that's a tough one. So, I don't have a whole lot of recommendations on fresh seafood. I used to be a big fan of Albertsons, but the Albertsons are hard to find now. They are slowly closing down. I don't remember if there's still one over there in Layton on Fairfield. I haven't been by in a while. I guess the next option would be the Smith's grocery stores is what I would probably recommend. I can't think of many others. J-Town Junkyard Files. Help me move to Southwest Utah. I have a part-time job lined up, but I need more than just that. What's available? Are you referring to jobs? I'm assuming you are referring to jobs. So Southwest Utah is tough for jobs. It really is tough for jobs. It is predominantly a retirement community. So you don't have the job opportunities nowhere near that you have in northern Utah. And some of the reasons for that is if you're a big company or a company and you're looking at southern Utah to put your plant or your operations or your office complex, I guess the question always comes up in my mind is, where do you get workers? So your retirement community, typically retirees do not want to go back and enter the workforce. There might be a few exceptions to that rule. And it's not all retirees down in the Southwest, but there is a lot of retirees in the Southwest. And that's what it's known for, the Southwest of our state. Many people have homes in northern Utah and they have homes in southern Utah, and they will swap their time depending on what time of year it is. It gets too hot in the St. George area during the summertime, so they like to live up north, and then they don't like the cold up north, so they go back down south. But yeah, it's a little tougher for jobs in the Southwest Utah. So a lot more jobs in the north in general. Mr. Z, ask Mike where to buy cherry stone clams. Well, that would be on the East Coast. A 10 is an amazing bird. Glad to hear they're keeping it around for a while. Oh, A10 is an amazing bird. Glad to keeping it around for a while. Yes. You know, the A10 was due to be retired many years ago, but they really can't find a replacement for it. I think they were hoping that maybe the F-35 would do some of the work that the A-10 does, but I just don't think right now the military has a replacement for that aircraft. So I guess it's here to stay. Speaking of football, are the Broncos or Cardinals popular in Utah? So we have a very diverse football fan base in the state of Utah. You'll find fans for just about every team there is. Mostly being because so many people have moved to the state and they stay loyal to their team like I do. But, you know, maybe 20 years ago, the two top teams that were supported were the two teams that were kind of closest, which would be the Broncos and the 49ers. So those two teams had the majority of the fans in the state of Utah. Now it's, you know, it's just about every team. I see Kansas fans, I see Steeler fans, Cowboy fans, you name it. So Raider fans now, because now the Raiders are in Las Vegas. So you're getting a lot of Raider fans here. You're only a short drive down to a Raider game. But when we're talking about football in the state of Utah, what's very popular in the state of Utah, so since we don't have a professional team, people latch on to the college football teams. So very popular in the state of Utah. We have in the Provo-Orem area, BYU University for the BYU Cougars. In Salt Lake City, you have the University of Utah, the Utah Utes playing the Pac-12. In not really the Layton area, but a little further north in Weber County, up in the Ogden area, you have Weber State University, plays in the Big Sky Conference. And then up in Logan, Utah, you have Utah State University. The Utah Aggies play in the Mountain West, which is a very good conference. And that's so very popular. And what's very popular is the rivalry games. The biggest rivalry game we have is BYU against Utah. They call it the red versus blue game, red-blue game. And pretty much in the state of Utah, you're a red fan or a blue fan. There's no down the middle. So it's but the other big game too would be BYU against Utah State. They've created a rivalry now with those two schools. So that's very entertaining, and I think it's a big positive for the state of Utah. So for fans and everything. So it's and as I say, you split down the middle. I can tell you a little story. So the quarterback for the Cougars, Zach Wilson, who went in the NFL draft, I think he was the second or third pick, went to the New York Jets. He grew up a Utah Ute fan. His family have been season ticket holders. All his relatives, as far as I remember, most of them, all Utah. He went to the Utah football camps, and that's where he met the head coach for BYU, Kalani Sitake. He was a coach at the University of Utah. So they bond. And as far as I've been told, he was not offered a scholarship at the University of Utah, but the BYU Cougars did. So his family actually had to change from being a Utah fan to a BYU fan. So pretty interesting. All right. Oh, I meant the Raiders. Yeah. The Raiders, very popular. And I think even more popular now that they're in Las Vegas. That's drawn all kinds of excitement here. So, yeah. I understand mobile oil change and other self-employment that caters to what elderly need. I can do a lot of automotive, small engine work. Thank you. Oh, okay. You're going to go, self-employed. Oh, yeah, definitely. And where I see a big need, and especially in northern Utah, and I would imagine in southern Utah, an even greater need is handyman services. 100%. I get asked for so many people that to turn their sprinklers on, turn them off, fix the gate that just broke, fix the fencing, all these things that pop up on a everyday basis around the house. Toilet won't flush, or toilet makes noise, or the sink is clogged and needs cleaned out. Handyman services, 100%. big, big need. People are always asking me, Mike, do you know a handyman? Do you know a handyman? Do you know a handyman? So yes, handyman services, very popular. You can make very, very good money. Very good money. Yep. Mr. Z, have you hiked Dry Canyon in Linden, Utah? I have not. I have not. I have heard about it. I've got friends that have, but I have not personally. Not at all. Mr. Frank, whoa, Utah Jazz basketball symbol. Wow, very popular in the state of Utah right now. An amazing team. I'm moving to Draper, Utah mid-June. I know a lot about the surrounding areas and Silicon Slopes, but I'm not too knowledgeable about Draper. So could you tell me about the town? Very good town. Very good town. So that whole area, what I consider the Draper, on that side of the freeway, the Draper, Highland, Alpine area, high demand. High demand. I have people ask me all the time for those areas. Very high demand. Great neighborhoods, great school systems. Nothing negative that I can think of. If you are working in the Silicon Slope area, you would have a very short commute to drive. You have just about every amenity you would need in that area, from grocery stores to whatever, hiking trails right out your backyard. You're a short drive into Salt Lake City. If you want to go downtown Salt Lake City, you want to go to a Jazz game, you're not far away. So all positives, all positives. So no negatives that I can think of at all. So Mr. Z, there's a state prison in Draper. You do have the state prison on the other side of the freeway. That is actually going to close at some point. They are building a new state prison. Matter of fact, it is pretty much built. I've seen photos on TV of the inside. It's already completed out by the Salt Lake Airport area. And the state prison in Draper, though, will be closing. That has already been determined. I don't know if they've made a final decision if they are going to turn that into commercial development, residential development, or mixed use. I don't know if a final decision has been made about that. So, okay, Mr. K, do you have a license to be a handyman? Yes, you do. Very simple license in the state of Utah. I believe it's a license you can just apply for. I don't believe you have to take a test, but I might be wrong about that. But there is a dollar limitation. When you are a handyman, there is a dollar limitation that goes with that license. They can only do work up to a certain amount. I don't know what the limit is, 1,000, 1,500. It may have changed. But basically what they want to stop is people getting a handyman license and then quoting a framing job on a new house at $15,000 or a electrical rewire complete house to skirt the professional licenses of electricians and plumbers and everything else and contractors. So I think that's the reason for the license. So you are limited. There is a dollar amount. And I would imagine the Division of Occupational Licenses for Utah would probably definitely have some information about it. So, but yeah, a license is required. A license in what? Handyman? Correct. It's actually, I believe it's called just a handyman license. I believe so. I believe it's just a handyman license. But there is a license. Unless they did away with it recently, but we had a license in the past. Mr. Webb, could you please recommend some good fishing spots around Layton? We've been to Adams Reservoir, but any additional recommendation would be great. I mostly fish trout. Well, fishing is a unique thing that I have my places that I go, and I love going up towards Morgan, Utah, anywhere on any of the streams that run down. I love that. I really love that. And I'm not a real big fisherman, but what me and the wife like doing is we take our portable chairs and we'll like take a nap and do some fishing and peace and quiet. and the cool temperatures. And we love that whole experience with that. So we're not real serious fishermen as per se, but that's a great area. Have you hiked Mount Timpanogos? I have been down there. Yes, I have been down there. And I would say it's probably for the more experienced hiker. So that, Mr. Z, Lost Creek for trout. So Mr. Z does do quite a bit of fishing. He was just up in the Logan Canyon area. Logan Canyon is another great area to go fishing. That's another place I like going to. We like putting our chairs out there too and taking a nap and just kind of unwinding from life a little bit. But we're actually we don't do as much fishing as we do in Utah as we do Idaho. So my relatives are Idaho farmers, so we do a lot of fishing up there. We're actually right there at Yellowstone. So we usually, if we want to go fishing, we try to always go to Idaho. So, but that doesn't mean Utah does not have great places, but Idaho does too. And the other thing too, with going up there, I have a father-in-law that's 88 years old, loves to fish, so doesn't get a chance to get out as much. So he does appreciate it when someone can come up there and do the driving and help him and get him out there. So there's a few reasons why I choose Idaho. Okay, I will not try to pronounce your name. I will just go by you. I would butcher that name 100%. Had to give up on a job out there. Couldn't find an apartment in time. Wow. I'm kind of surprised. There are apartments all around. What particular area were you looking for on an apartment? And my other question with the apartment thing was, I don't know if you've watched any of my videos where I've mentioned a local website that we have called ksl.com. It's a local news station. They have a classified section, the very best in the state classified section. Most landlords, nearly every landlord I know, an apartment building, will put their inventory on that website. It's free to list items, whether you are renting a house or you are selling a car or selling your bicycle, you can list it on there for free. So I would be curious if you tried a couple of those website, and I'd be curious as to what city you're looking at, because I've got people coming into town here that because of the home situation, they want to buy a home and they're having to rent apartments, and they're finding apartments all over. So I haven't seen some are full, but were apartments available. So Mr. Z, Lost Creek Reservoir. Okay. Yeah, another great place. I've heard of it. I have not personally went to Lost Creek Reservoir, but I've had other people talk about Lost Creek Reservoir. 100%. Yeah, great place. All right. Was in Ogden area. I've been calling around for a month, and they come and go fast. Hard to get when coming out of state. Yes, tried them websites. Oh, wow. No, the Ogden area. Wow. What about like Cherry Creek in Riverdale? They always pop up in my mind. I know a long time ago I lived there, actually. That's why it always comes to my mind. So that was a chore and a half. Me and the wife lived there while we had this particular house built. It was my idea to move into an apartment, and while we were building something. So yeah, I'm surprised. So I can give you the details. I don't have my phone or anything with me right now. But if you are trying again, try Northern Utah Property Management. And Brian Hicks is his name. If I had my phone next to me here, I would probably look his phone number up for you. But Brian Hicks, just tell him you know me, and he'll see what he's got available. So he does homes and then duplexes and fourplexes, and I'm not too sure if he's got any apartment buildings 100% if he manages any of them, but that would definitely be a contact. Northern Utah Property Management, Brian Hicks. Great guy to work with. So Thanks, Mr. Z. You're welcome. Follow the road past Devil's Slide. Yeah, Devil's Slide up towards Morgan area. Just that area. Lots of trout in there. Great. Yeah, I feel bad that you had to give up a job because you couldn't find an apartment. This would be my other recommendation too. If you do not find anything in Ogden, look at Brigham City, Utah. A lot of people do not think about Brigham City, Utah. It is 20 minutes up the road. You can drive it on the freeway, take you, depending on what part of Ogden you're having to come down for work, but you could be anywhere from, say, 20 to 30-minute drive or 15 to 25-minute drive, somewhere around. It depends on traffic. But I would also look at Brigham City, Utah. So it's a little, I don't want to say not as popular. It's a great area. Brigham City area is greater, but a lot of people do not consider Brigham City that are Ogden area. There's a lot of people think Ogden, Layton, some of those areas, but Brigham City is a great area, and you might be able to find something in the Brigham City area, and it's a short drive. It's not far at all. It's easily accessible by the freeway. So, yeah, that area up there is somewhere I would also look to also. Great. If I didn't skip any question there. Yeah, I feel bad you didn't find anything. Yeah, I should have, I don't know, gave me a call or something before you had to maybe cancel the job or something. Maybe I could point out a couple of, or ask around for some recommendations on an apartment building, but maybe tried to help you a little bit on that. So, new construction. A lot of people are talking new construction. And the reason I thought about new construction a little bit was housing shortage. Housing shortage we've got in Utah and we've got throughout the whole United States. In general, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's projected with population growth, etc. We need to build about 1.5 million houses a year. That's about what we need to keep a stable market. Well, with the crash in 08, 09, 2010, a lot of builders got out and, it didn't have a choice. Construction slowed down. From 09 to probably 2015, we were probably building about 800,000 houses in the United States, about half what we needed. So those numbers are starting to reflect in our inventory shortage in the United States, all around the country. It wasn't quite as bad in like some of them other years, like 16 and 17. It started picking up some, but it still didn't get to the levels of about the 1.5, 1.6 million, somewhere around there is what we really need. So new construction has created some of the inventory issues that we have. And I think the other issue that we've had too, a little bit, is millennials. The thought process for many years was rent a place, 401k, they wanted mobility, want to be able to live where they wanted to live. If they didn't like the job, they could move from Utah to Texas or wherever, take their 401k with them, go to company and just keep renting. And I'm actually finding this a little bit that millennials now, they're seeing that as they've done that a little bit and maybe they've got established in an area, they're finding their rents are going up and a lot of them are deciding, maybe we should buy a house. Maybe that would be a better theory. So we have that fixed payment for the life of the loan. At least on the loan, your property tax insurance will always change, but your loan amount, your loan payment amount will be fixed for 30 years. And a lot are thinking it. So a lot of those people are now trying to jump into the market also and creating some of the shortages. So, but if you are building a new home in this day and age, it's one of the best tips I can give you is if you have the ability to watch the home being built from the ground level up, is to take lots of photos. You cannot take enough photos. You would be amazed how many times they will sheetrock over an electrical outlet or something, and the photos will help you down the road. And the second biggest point that when they pour footings and foundation. So your footings, basically it's like a square block. They pour that first and let it set up, and then they come and build the foundation walls. When they do that is to measure that, get the plans and measure it. Once they start building that house, if they were 3 foot too short, that house is going to be square foot wise shorter, and there's not much you can do about it. Not much at all you can do. You'd probably have to take a backhoe to the side of the house to get all the way down and build your footings and foundation and go back up to get, when you walk in the bedroom, go, it's a little small on this side of the house. I didn't think it was ever this small. Well, we're 3 foot short. So that is probably one of the key times to just get the plan, and it'll have a measurement on there, so many feet by so many feet, and just get a rolling tape measure and roughly make sure you're at that spot, so that if there is an error, it can be sorted out right there and then. So mistakes happen all the time in every industry, not just in home building. House prices are crazy everywhere. Do you think it is going down anytime soon? I do not. I see absolutely no data that prices are going to go down. So low interest rates and low inventory and high demand, the low interest rates. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's amazing. If you took a $500,000 loan at 3% and a $500,000 loan at 6%, the payment difference is enormous. It's not $20-$30, it's hundreds of dollars. So, but there's a couple things on the horizon that make me a little nervous about the housing market, and I really don't know how they're going to play out. So one will be the mortgage forbearance. Basically, some people have been allowed to not make their mortgage payments. I think in the state of Utah, we will not see foreclosures. And if we do, it'll be very small, and it'll probably be bought up by the big hedge funds. Mostly because we've had low unemployment and very few people have lost jobs in the state of Utah throughout the coronavirus. So if they went into mortgage forbearance, I think most of them, it was just so that they just didn't have to have a payment. And then when payments come due, they'll start writing the check out again. They're not going to give their whole house up. That's where they live. So I think very little. Areas like maybe Las Vegas, as high unemployment area, if you're told you got to start making your payments and you don't have the same job you had, or you don't have any job at all, I can see it different in some of those areas. And I'm not too sure around the country. I'm just speaking for like Utah in general. I'm not too sure what some other states are like for people in mortgage forbearance and on unemployment. And the other thing about the mortgage forbearance, I really think the government's going to step in on that. You take a state like Nevada. I mean, if they start seeing a lot of foreclosures, it's a Democratic state, Democratic House, Senate, president at the current moment. I could see them easily trying to pass legislation to do some kind of bailout to help them out. I see that happening possibly in one or two scenarios. I think there's been a couple that's been talked. One, to just tack those payments on the back of someone's loan. So instead of your loan being due at a certain date, it'll then be extended out. The other is there's talk about a plan being able to take those payments and take the whole mortgage and then redo it as a 40-year mortgage, which would actually lower your payment. And that would be a huge bailout, So the other thing that, number two, is how long can interest rates stay low? This is historic levels. This is not the normal. Rates in the 3% is not normal. At some point, they're going to go up. When that is, I do not know. Typically, though, my eye is on the inflation. We're printing a lot of money in this country, which usually creates inflation. I see inflation every day. With inflation, causes interest rates to climb. So that would, all interest rates, whether it's car loan, home loan, that would create interest rates to climb. If the interest rates went up to say 3.5, 3.75, I think some of those over time can be absorbed. But if we're doing, we go literally in 3 or 4 month period from say 3.5 to 4.5 to 5, that would be a dramatic effect on the market. It's people's buying power. The buying power you have on a home would drastically boom, 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 bump up. So, so that's a couple things that I possibly in the horizon, it might slow the market down or stabilize the market in a lot of areas. That's the only thing I see on the horizon at the current moment. After all, the coronavirus couldn't kill the housing market. So, and I was really worried last summer. There was a lot of people afraid. We were all afraid going into someone's home, whether or not we were bringing the coronavirus in with us. We were taking so many precautions. A lot of people would not let us in their homes. They wouldn't put their home on the market for sale. And I thought that was the nail in the coffin on the housing market. It didn't. It bounced right back. But then again, I didn't expect interest rates to drop so much either at the time. All right, Mr. Z, my friend just built a house in Ogden. After putting in the fridge, there is little room to work in the corner counter space. Aha. Yeah, wow. Blame the architect on that one. All right. Learned quite a bit. By the way, my daughter and I vacationed a hurricane this past January and can't wait to move to the area. My goal is to go off-roading every day on 2 wheels, 4 wheels, or by foot. Well, I'm right there with you. I've been an off-road fan my whole life, from dirt bikes to ATVs, now to UTVs. What a money pit. But I've had some great, great times, fabulous times. So, and the state of Utah is the place to do it in. If you want to ride in the mountains, you want to ride in trails, you want to ride in the sand, you want to go to Moab and ride in the rocks, it's here. It's here. What people come from all over the country to come riding here in the state of Utah. So, yeah, very popular. It's actually creating a little bit of issue right now in Moab. So, talking about banning UTVs throughout the city. I think a few rotten eggs have spoiled it for the rest of the people. So, Home Depot is doing a stock buyback. AMD as well. Oh, wow. Great information. I'm curious what Home Depot is actually at right now. All right, Mr. J Town. What will happen to the housing market once the pandemic, illness, rent exemption goes away? Well, in my opinion, on the rental front, I think it's going to bring a few more homes to the market. I think there are a lot of what I call mom and pop landlords. It's a landlord by accident. They owned a home and paid it off, and then they upgraded their home and they kept the other as an investment property, and they became a landlord over time. There are a lot of individuals around the country that right now are very upset with the fact that they've got people living in their house for free, not paying rent, and they still have to pay the maintenance, the property tax, the insurance on the home, everything. They're getting no income from it. So there are quite a few that are waiting to get the renters out, and will probably put the house on the market. Some will, some won't, but I think you'll see. So you'll see some inventory hit the market. What I don't like about that is it's going to reduce the rentals that we have throughout the country, single family home rentals. I think it's going to be a tighter market on rental homes. I really do. Once that home is sold to someone who lives in the home, if that's who is the end buyer, that's one less rental and another less rental. So it's, yeah. So that's what I kind of feel about that. It'll probably bring a little bit of inventory to the market, which we desperately need. But the rental side of it, I don't think is going to be positive. All right. On average, how long does a closing home take in the state of Utah? Okay. Well, I'll give you two answers to that. So the first answer would be, if you're paying all cash, you can close a home in 7 days. I can get a title company to probably even quicker than that. Probably, if the seller wants to move out that quick, you could literally be in a home in 7 days if you're all cash. And your title company could definitely do it that quick. But on that, if you are financing a home with the appraisals that have to be done and everything else, we usually give 30 days. 30 days is a safe zone. I've seen some close a little quicker, probably 21 days, but on average, I would say 30 days. It makes me a little nervous if you're financing a property going 21 days. Really puts time constraint, and you got to hope that the lender has got his A game going and can produce on that on a short timeline. But on average, I would say 30 days, not a problem. And that's 30 days if you're pre-approved and you've got all your docs and everything, already with a lender, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, when you find a house, they're ready to go. If you do not start that process, then sometimes they may need this document, that document, these pay stubs, and gathering all that and getting it in. What would take might be tight to do the 30 days, but it probably might still be done. Mr. Webb, seen and read a lot about Skinwalker Ranch. Are the stories about it true or just folklore? In my opinion, folklore. But I have no evidence on any of that. So, great questions this evening. I can't believe it has been almost 1 hour. But I was going to try to see if I can pull that up for you on the fishing when we're talking about that whole Morgan, Utah area for the fishing. Are areas that I particularly like to go, and Mr. Z was talking about the trout. So over to the left over here, somewhere over here there's Hill Air Force Base. So there's Layton, Utah. You would take Interstate 84, you go past Mountain Green, and anywhere along here, I've always really enjoyed fishing, all the way up to Morgan, Utah. And when we were talking about Devil's Slide, that is along this area here, past Morgan. While you're there, right there, Taggart's Grill, just past Morgan, is a great place to eat if they are still in business. Now, I have not been there since before coronavirus. When we go to Evanston, Wyoming to buy a lottery ticket or something, I will usually stop in there and grab some lunch. But with coronavirus, I haven't been. So that's the general area. And if you're living in Layton, Utah, yeah, you're not far away from those areas. So not at all. Okay, there you go. Mr. Atlanta Falcon fan, Mr. Z, or J-Town would like to find out. Crypto coins have crashed big time this week, but have recovered somewhat. Yeah, I saw that down. I don't know what it was today, but I think this morning it was 42,000, I believe. So, yeah, I don't know what happened today. I noticed that the stock market was up, but I didn't see what happened with crypto. Glad you didn't get in before Elon Musk manipulated the market. Yes. And wow, that is I don't know. That's something totally different. You know, they talk about insider trading and stuff like this, but there are people out there, celebrities and people in the media that can literally make a tweet or make a statement, and they can send a stock up, down, sideways, whichever way. It's crazy. Still waiting for Bitcoin at 30,000. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess this will be the test. I mean, it's really going to be the test here over the next week. Can it hold wherever it's at today? I assume today, because the markets were up, I assume that they were probably up. But can they sustain that level? That's the question. So now I don't have an answer on that. It'd be interesting to see. So I'm not a Bitcoin guy. I've never purchased Bitcoin. I think it's fascinating. Like I was telling you the other week, I was looking at the Dogecoin. Yeah, I'm fascinated with the whole Bitcoin thing. So, and I was really shocked when Elon Musk said about the mining, the coin mining and everything like that, and how much power it uses. I never knew any of that. So good to know. Good to know. Any more questions for this evening before I call tonight? It is getting late. We'll be back again next Thursday. Same time, same place. Appreciate everything. Everyone have a good evening. Take care.